A little over a year ago, I sat in my car after a gig and had a panic attack. I was thinking of the piles of unpaid bills I had, and I was overwhelmed by how unmanageable everything in my life felt. I had no savings, I was going through a tumultuous breakup, and the walls felt like they were closing in on me daily. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and run the numbers in my head. If I skipped going to therapy, I could buy my groceries. And if I kept skipping, maybe I could convince myself that I was fine. But my anxiety didn't go away, got worse, and my panic attacks just kept growing. Every trade off I would make felt like a slow unraveling, a constant reminder that I was barely keeping my head above water. If I ignored my dental issues, maybe I could cover my rent. And every decision was like a losing trade off. And this just wasn't a tough period. It was an unsustainable way to live where I was constantly in crisis. Worst of all, my pride told me I had to figure it out alone. I'm not sharing this story for sympathy, but as a wake up call. If any part of this resonates with you, if you see yourself in any of these stories, I want you to know that you're not alone. And oftentimes, as musicians, we think that there is no built in safety net, that this just comes with the territory. But I'm here to tell you that institutional support exists. It's just buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and unclear processes. Many musicians struggle to find the right contacts, or to complete complicated applications, or even determine what assistance they qualify for. And because of my previous experiences as a musician in crisis, when 10 years ago I was ran over by a truck and had to have multiple surgeries and couldn't move for months, I was aware that there were musical charities out there that would support musicians. Many of these charitable foundations require tax returns in order to get assistance. But at that time, I had just re entered the music field, and I was so far behind on my income taxes that I had no idea where to start. And it was overwhelming. I needed help with my financial records, but in order to get that help, I would need to get my financial records. I'm stressed out just thinking about it. But I contacted MusiCares, and they met me where I was. They connected me with a wonderful financial coach. Big shout out to you, Rachel at Life's Jam, and an accountant. Big shout out to you, Allison, at Harmony Street Society. And both of those professionals have done a great job at getting me up to speed. And that support didn't just qualify me for more grants, it helped me tackle a major source of anxiety and stress. It was like a cloud hanging over my head, a weight on my back had been relieved. And if you're in that situation, know that help exists. So let's take a look at the structural challenges in the music industry for musicians like myself and you. Musicians lack the standard benefits that come with traditional employment, such as employer provided health insurance, retirement plans, unemployment benefits, and many legal protections. So these gaps leave independent musicians responsible for navigating a complex financial, healthcare, and tax systems without any institutional guidance. Without these foundational supports, financial literacy, healthcare access, and crisis planning are entirely left up to the individual musician. And let's be frank, most of us don't have training in that area. And failing to address these realities can lead to significant hardships. Clearly, I know firsthand. This isn't my first rodeo. What initially got me out of music 10 years ago was being run over by a truck and being buried in medical debt and uncertainty in the inability to work. And in both that instance where I was run over by a truck and my latest instance where I was restarting my life and my career again, the biggest challenge for me was knowing where to start. And so I'm going to share some key resources across several essential areas so that you can review them and apply. And hopefully, if you're in crisis, you can start taking action today. So first and foremost is healthcare access. And if you're like me, that's overwhelming and that's a labyrinth to navigate, regardless of you're on an employee plan, if you're using the health marketplace, or if you're using something else. For me, I connected with Music Health Alliance and they hooked me up with my girl Zakia, and she helped me navigate the marketplace to find a solution that was right for me. because I couldn't tell plan A from plan Z. It was all language that I didn't understand, and she walked me through it and helped me out greatly. And the great thing about the Music Health Alliance is that it not only helps musicians find healthcare plans, it also helps resolve billing disputes and access financial aid for musicians in need. And they've helped me out in multiple areas just this year. Likewise, MusiCares is another great foundation that I'm going to mention multiple times here, and they provide emergency grants for things like medical expenses if you're in a sudden unfortunate situation. And lastly, don't sleep on community health clinics. Something is better than nothing, and often these health clinics provide great support and care for musicians like me, especially here in Nashville. But it's not just physical health, it's also mental health. And like I said, Music Health Alliance provided me a grant to help me cover the cost of multiple forms of therapy that I needed over the past year. Likewise, MusiCares offers subsidized therapy, addiction recovery, and crisis support. Just like Backline connects musicians with affordable mental health resources. And lastly, I want to mention the Sims Foundation, which specializes in mental health and substance abuse support for musicians. But what if it's just not medical that you need support with? What if you're having financial instability? So once again, MusiCares provides grants for rent, utilities, and medical emergencies. I know firsthand, when I was in that bad accident years ago, MusiCares covered a few months of rent for me because I couldn't work. And I'm forever grateful and indebted to them for that. Another organization that helped me out was the Entertainment Community Fund. And they too offer financial aid for performing artists, not just musicians, but all artists that are in crisis. And also there's a Sweet Relief Musicians Fund. And they too assist musicians facing severe health challenges. And when you're a musician, I often say that you are a small business owner. You're an entrepreneur and you have to run yourself like a business. And most of us have little to no business training or experience. I was never taught financial literacy, but then I'm thrust into a world where I need to be responsible for my finances and run a business by myself. And I needed help, lots of it. And fortunately, I got hooked up with Rachel at Life's Jam, and she provides financial coaching specifically tailored to musicians like me who work as an independent contractor, who are their own entity. And it's not just financial help that we need. Sometimes we need legal guidance when negotiating publishing, record deals, or you have some kind of incident on a gig. And that's where the Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts come in, where they provide legal and tax guidance for independent artists. Or you could always use federal tax assistant programs, which are free tax advisory services, VITA and Tax Aid. And I know what most musicians are probably thinking because I thought the same thing. I thought that if I asked for help, I was being a bum. I was asking for a handout. It damaged my pride. I would feel like a loser. I would feel pathetic. But let's really put that in perspective. Us as musicians were often celebrated as these wonderful cultural contributors. And you know, after a gig or a performance, so many people come up to you and say how much they enjoyed your work and how you provided them with so much joy. And I love it when that happens. However, that doesn't pay our bills. And us as musicians are often disregarded when it comes to financial aid and institutional support. I mean, let's face it, entertainment is absolutely vital to society. Yet the labor behind it is frequently undervalued, or we're just labeled as doing it for fun. And the COVID-19 pandemic really highlighted this reality. Musicians and entertainers were among the first people that audiences turned to for comfort, for community, for distraction, for entertainment, but we are the last to receive financial relief. So if you're a musician, think about that time and remember, we have lots of value. People hear music, they consume entertainment every day, and we help provide that. That has serious value in the world. And because you and your work have such serious value, is exactly the reason why it's crucial that you take action. Seeking support, advocating for fair treatments, and utilizing available resources are not signs of weakness at all. They're a sign of strength. They're necessary steps towards long-term sustainability. And you, as a musician, as an artist, as an entertainer, are not expendable. You may think you are, Other people may say you are, but you're not. You have a special gift. You have a talent. You've worked to develop that talent. You've sacrificed to develop your skills. Securing stability is a right. It's not a privilege. So I'm imploring you, if you recognize the need for support, take action today. The longer you wait, the harder it is to recover from financial setbacks, health issues, career and housing instability. Acting today can mean the difference between regaining control or facing a prolonged hardship that just compounds. I implore you today, reach out to the relevant organizations. Identify financial and healthcare resources in your area. And above all, don't wait. Do not delay. Proactive steps today prevent crises tomorrow. Momentum begins with a single step. And I know it's overwhelming. I know it's daunting. It doesn't all have to be in one day, but challenge yourself to take one step today, just one. Oftentimes you'll find that momentum turns over. And in the past year, I've gotten help with mental health, with dental health, with my physical health, with my taxes. My life was really unraveling and I had to put it back together, and I couldn't do it alone. I didn't do it alone. I'm not doing it alone. And part of me wants to be ashamed for saying that right now, but part of me is incredibly proud that when the shit hit the fan, I didn't duck for cover, but I cleaned it up. And I'm still cleaning it up. And it's not easy and it's not fun. But I'm hoping that if you see me, that I've done it and that I've talked openly about it, it gives you the courage, it gives you the permission to do the same for yourself. And before I end, I want to take a moment to acknowledge somebody really important here in Nashville that we recently lost. I made this video about a week ago and I just started crying when I was talking, as I'm kind of feeling now. But I want to talk about my friend, everybody's friend, Greg Chapman. His love and dedication to supporting local musicians was unmatched. I've only been in Nashville for 2 or 3 years, but knowing Greg was a privilege, and I'm not the only one. I think one of the stories I've been telling lately is that after our first gig together, he said, and he meant it. He said, "I love you, man." And I said, "I love you too." And I meant it. That's not typical for gigs, but that's who Greg was. And he was everybody's cheerleader. Yeah, he taught me a lot. I remember one time we were playing a gig and I recommended another musician, and the other musician kind of made a goof and he showed up late, and I was freaking out. I was like, Greg's never gonna call me for a gig again because I recommended this guy, who's also a great friend of mine as well. And Greg said to me, "Ah, man, no worries. We're just gonna have some fun." And when all the members of the band got together, we all had fun. And by the end of the night, we were like thick as thieves, like good buddies. And we've forgotten all about that. And Greg was telling me, I'll bust people's balls a little bit, but I just want to make sure everybody has a fun time and a good time on stage. And he meant that. I just want to speak from the heart because Greg was a great guy and we lost him too soon. And I had made this video about a week earlier and I wanted to sit on it. And ironically enough, there's been calls to, in lieu of flowers, for Greg to donate to MusiCares. And if you happen to be in a good place financially and you can support a charity, any one of the charities I mentioned in this video are great to support. If you donate to MusiCares, please do it in the name of Greg to help keep his memory alive. And I know once I come out the other end of this season of life, I'm going to be active in these charities and donate what I can because they've helped me out measurably. And I've also attached a little document down here at the bottom, which has links to all the services I've mentioned. There might be some links in there of services I haven't mentioned yet. And by no means is this comprehensive. I've tried to do some research on this, and I'm not the expert. I'm not the authority. I'm simply sharing what I know. If you know of a great charity that supports musicians, please drop it in the comments. If you need help, please check out those charities. There is no shame. You matter. So, in the name of my friend Craig, I'm going to ask that you be kind to one another, be kind to yourselves. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.